Welcome back. May is National Small Business Month, and this week we got a chance to talk with Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate about the growth of small business, especially within the past year, and the director of the Iowa Small Business Development Center about the resources out there to help entrepreneurs and small business owners. And joining us now is Secretary Pate and Director Shimkat. Thank you to the both of you for taking this time this week to chat with us.
Our pleasure, John.
Secretary Pate, I'll start with you. Update us here on business growth. You said you've seen some very good numbers.
Maybe in National Small Business Month, it's only fitting that we thank those who got us here. Small businesses are truly the backbone of Iowa and frankly, Illinois. And when you look at what we've seen, particularly here in Iowa, over the last 8 years, we've seen growth every single year. In fact, over 30,000 new businesses alone last year here in Iowa. So that's the backbone. These are businesses in small town Iowa and the major cities as well. And I think we have to remind ourselves of that. And quite often we forget to thank them because it may not be a Fortune 500, but they are the one that makes the difference, whether it's the local barber shop or the hardware store or somebody who's just getting real creative and coming up with a new app. They are business providers and job providers.
And why are you seeing that happen?
Well, I think there is somewhat of a dividend from the, if you want to call it a positive thing from COVID. People had time to reflect on perhaps some new approaches to their lives and what they wanted to do. And they also thought this was the time to do it, based on some dramatic things that may have happened. But I also think you have to have confidence in what's going on around you in your community and in your state. And I think we've tried to strive to do that in Iowa with our taxes and with our various other incentives. And I won't steal all Lisa's thunder, but the help we get from the small business development centers and our other partners really put us over the top.
And Director, I was kind of looking through your website and sort of educating myself a little bit about what your organization offers. I was surprised at just the breadth of resources that are available. Are people aware of that?
I'm going to say we always hear, hey, you're the best kept secret. Well, we're not trying to keep it a secret. Honestly, I would say, though, that I'm very proud of the work that we do across the state. We have 15 centers out there, one in the Quad Cities, that we partner with the local community colleges, the regions, institutions to bring no cost counseling across the state to businesses and to entrepreneurs that are looking for what are my next steps? Where do I go from here? And that's the greatest part of what we do truly is trying to figure out how to navigate for them, because it can be scary starting your business or maybe taking it to the next level. What are some of the things I need to do to minimize the risk? And that's what we try to do as much as possible for those businesses and entrepreneurs.
As you were talking to folks, particularly folks who are maybe thinking about starting a business, what do you find is the thing that holds people back, who are just kind of on that cusp there? What's holding folks back, and how does your organization help them make that leap?
Trying to figure out if today is the day, I think, is probably the number one. And, the first thing I need to put out there, there's no free money out there. A lot of times we see advertisements, we see other things come up that say, hey, there's free money to start this business or that one. But truly what it comes down to is having a relationship with a lender, putting together your plan. Now, it's not the dreaded business plan that we've heard of the old days of 60 pages and trying to figure it out and navigate. That's where our team can really sit down with that business owner or that entrepreneur and kind of figure out, what are my next steps? What do I need to do? And here's what my product is. Do I have a market, and will they pay me for it so that I can make money? And that's what we try to do in minimizing that risk as well. I think another part is, all right, where do I go from here? What do I need to put into this business? How much money am I going to need? Because we can, ballpark a figure, but let's really dive into it to the nuts and bolts and figure out what that dollar amount really is, because maybe today is not the day. But now you have something to shoot for. You have a target of, this is where I need to be to make my business successful.
And Director, what does your organization still hope to do? I imagine businesses are always looking to grow. You have to be looking to say, hey, what else can we offer the business community? Is there anything that you're working on that is 6 months, a year down the line?
Cyber right now, we're just trying to help position people, especially if they're going after government contracts. There's a lot of additional hoops to jump through. So we really need to get them up to speed so they have additional opportunities, whether it's in the state contracts, federal contracts, and so on. Another thing we have is the Rural Business Innovators Program, where we're going out to the rural areas to find those innovators, find those folks that have really a new product or an idea. And then we're helping them with the next steps, whether it's prototype development or trying to figure out the market and figuring out, can this move forward? Because our whole goal there is to develop wealth, create wealth in the rural areas. And the way that we're able to really help identify some of the other gaps that may be out there are through our partnerships, and particularly Secretary of State and other organizations, where they're helping us figure out where we can go so we can make sure we're in front of the entrepreneurs when we need to be in front of them.
And Secretary Pate, I want to switch gears just a little bit because we've talked about this many times, the Iowa Businesses Against Trafficking. This program has been around now several years. Can you talk about, is it having the success that you've hoped that it would have?
I'm very pleased with the success. When we launched it 2 years ago, we weren't sure what to expect, but we did know that businesses will rise to the occasion when there's a cause. And these are businesses that want to make sure their communities are the best they can be, because that's where they have employees from, that's where they live, and they want to make sure it's good for everybody. So when we asked them to do two things, one was to learn more about human trafficking, and the second to do something. They took that challenge on, and we're at 800 plus businesses now, over 300,000 employees that are learning about human trafficking, both sex trafficking, labor trafficking, so that they can be more of an ambassador, if you will, or help us out there in combating it and educating others with what it's about. Because unfortunately, this is an issue that slips between the cracks too often. And but by bringing that awareness, they're able to do better partners with law enforcement and also educate the public as to what it's all about. So I'm very pleased with where we're at.
All right, Secretary Pate, Director Shimkat, thank you to the both of you for taking time this week to chat with us.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
And if you want to see all the resources the Small Business Development Center has to offer entrepreneurs and small business owners, you can visit its website, iowasbdc.org. All right, coming up, AFib is a chronic heart condition that impacts hundreds of thousands of people.
Rough estimate for people over 65 years old, about 1 in 8 people, they have AFib.
So we'll tell you about the new treatment being used on patients right here in the Quad Cities that's among the first in the nation when News 8 This Week continues.